You may be a little irritated, you may be upset since I've been gone for so long, but here I am, back and at it. Just a small, vague update. I've been going through a lot. Well, I guess I'm not going through a lot. I've been putting myself through a lot these past few months, which is why I haven't uploaded anything. So I apologize for that, but here we are. We're back. We're at it. We're ready to do the videos. Let's get to it. I got my nails done, obviously. I know y'all recognize this color. It's the bubblegum pink that I usually get square shaped, but then this time I was like, I mean, if a girl can do the coffin shape, we're gonna do the coffin shape. The lady that did them this time around, I never get my nails done with her because I always felt like the boss was the one that did better nails, but these coffins are way better than the bosses. Remember when I did my nails coffin French tip last time? Yeah, like this. They looked like long squares. That's what they look like, I think. But and that was the boss who did my nails. This was her assistant that did my nails. She did a way better job on the shape. So, I mean, I'll probably have her do it. Probably have her do them again next time. But I'll probably get pink again. Oh, maybe not because of Christmas. So, might do a gold because I've been stuck on red a lot lately. Like, it's always between pink and red, pink and red. Unless I go to Paul, then I do something crazy. I'm in love, I'm in love. I love my pink nails. They make me feel good. They make me happy. It's just, I don't know. I just feel like better. I don't know how to explain it. I've just been in a funk. Haven't had them for a while. And I just feel like better and just like, I don't know, more alive. Sounds dumb, but that's how I feel. It's the pink vibes. They just like, pink makes me feel so like happy and bubbly and girly because you know that's who I am. I'm girly. Girly girl all the way through. I'm funny. I know I may not come off funny in my videos, but I will have you rolling, okay? I am funny. When me and my friend are together, we're funny. When me and my sister were together, funny. And sometimes I crack myself up. I'll be like, girl, you're just funny. And I'm not gonna lie, I am funny. Not to toot my own horn or anything, but toot toot. I know I'm looking extra pale today. Extra pale. But your girl hasn't left the house in quite a while. So I have definitely lacked some sunlight. And it is what it is. So with that being said, let's just go ahead and start because I could just be talking all day. On May 21st, we had an appointment. Give me 1 second, I think my baby's asleep. Okay, so baby boy fell asleep. Okay, May 21st, I had an appointment for a stretch and sweep. 38 weeks and 6 days at that time. The appointment was at 11:30 in the morning. So we went to the appointment. It takes us about an hour to get over there. So we got there by maybe like 11:15. Waited in the car because of the whole situation. We got there by 11:15. I had to call the doctors, or I had to call the reception to let them know that I was there so that I could go in. So not too long after I called, they called me back, and then I went into the doctor's office. I didn't film any of this because they weren't allowing personal items in at the time because it was just 2 months into the pandemic. They called me in, took my temperature, asked me the COVID questions, and made me put hand sanitizer on, took me to the exam room, and then gave me a cup to pee in. That's what you do every pregnancy appointment. That's what I've been doing every pregnancy appointment. Went, used the bathroom, give him the cup, all that jazz. Went back to the room, and then my midwife came in. We talked about the membrane sweep. I asked the questions I did. I asked her if it worked, how long would it take to work? And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, at the time she said if it's gonna work, it'll take about 24 hours. I think she said 24 to 48 hours, if I remember correctly. I'll look it up just to make sure. So I was like, okay, that's all the questions I had. She did the membrane sweep on me. And then she was like, okay, if you feel any bad contractions, then if you feel any constant contractions, they just don't go away and they just get more intense, then come in. So I was like, okay, cool, thank you. And then we left. Okay, so sorry. My timing was wrong. My appointment was at 11, I believe. I'm gonna have to check. Let me check really quick. Okay, so I thought on my last video maybe I said something about the time my appointment was, but I didn't. So I'm going to say that my appointment was at 11, and it only took...
Mom.
What? Okay, so I checked my video that I did the morning of my appointment to see if maybe I put a time in there, and I didn't. So I'm gonna say that my appointment was at 11, not 11:30, and we finished by 11:30, because when we got home it was 12:30, and like I said, it takes an hour to get there. We dropped Aaliyah off at her tia's house so she could play with the kids, so she could play with her cousins, and then George and I went to go and get something to eat. So George and I went, picked up our food. So we were sitting there at the park, and in the car, we were eating in the car, and like I kept feeling pains, but pains were like underneath my stomach, like on the bottom of my stomach, underneath my stomach. So I was like, okay, well, I don't think this is contractions because I've been feeling this, but not as intense. And then like they were getting worse and worse to where I was like, what is going on? This isn't a contraction. I know what a contraction feels like, obviously because I had Aaliyah. So I was like, what is going on? I'm hurting. These pains are different. And like I wasn't saying this out loud, but like in my head. George and I just started timing them to see maybe if that was it, because I never felt this pain with Aaliyah. So we were timing them and they were just getting worse and worse. An hour in, I was like, I'm gonna call the doctor. So he was like, okay. And our thing was, we didn't want to go in if it wasn't really happening. If the baby wasn't really coming, we did not want to go all the way back, travel that whole hour again, just for the baby not to be here yet. I called the doctor, and then I told her what was going on, pains I was feeling, how far apart the pains were, and she was just like, if you can handle them for a little bit longer to make sure that they're contractions, then do that. But if not, and they're too intense, then go ahead and come on in, because she wanted the same thing for us. Like, she didn't want us to travel all the way back after just being there. She didn't want us to travel all the way back and then not have a baby. So we're like, okay, cool, that's what we'll do. Whenever I went to the doctor earlier that day, I was still at I think I was at a 3.5, and that was it. I didn't move. I only moved in half a centimeter from the appointment before my stretch and sweep. So I was like, ugh, that sucks. I told George what the nurse said, or whoever it was I talked to. And I was like, okay, well, what do you feel? And I said, okay, I'll try to hold out a little bit longer. And then the pain started getting like way too intense, and I was like, okay, well, let's get our stuff and let's go. Like, everything was already in the car. I think we just had to get like a charger or something, and that was it. So then when we got the charger, went back to his sister's house, which is obviously Aaliyah's tia, So we went back to her house, told them that we're leaving, and then we took off from there. And the pains were like worse and worse and worse. I was able to calm down in between for a short period of time, but I could feel when they were coming, and then I could feel when they were going away. I had to check in the emergency entrance, and George went in with me to check in. So we both got not tested, but we both got like our temperature and questions, all that COVID jazz. And then they're like, okay, well, George couldn't go to labor and delivery with me just yet. Like, we had to make sure that I was actually gonna have the baby. Like, I had to be admitted before he could actually go back there. So I was back there for at least, I'm gonna say at least 30 minutes to an hour. My contractions were like way more intense, harder. They were just like quicker, and it was just awful. And the nurse that was helping me, she was like the best. I still remember her name. I don't know her last name, of course, but her name was Shelby, and she just helped me so much through my contractions. I had to change out of my clothes and into the hospital gown. I also had to pee in a cup, which that was the freaking worst because I was having contractions while I was walking. I had contractions while I was sitting on the toilet. I was having contractions while I was washing my hands. It was awful, but she was there the whole entire time helping me. The first time around I had Aaliyah, I don't remember having a nurse as good as her. When I was having my contractions, she would like push down on my thighs. Like if I was sitting down, she would push down on my thighs, and in some way it like made my contractions worse but more tolerable at the same time. I don't know how to explain it, but it just really helped me. You really have to go through it to understand. You know, that sounds awful, but I mean, that's the only way that I could actually explain it to you, I guess. So after a while of contractions, she checked how far along I was from that morning, because I told her that I had the stretch and sweep done that morning, and I told her how far along I was that morning. I was only 3.5, and she checked me and I was already a 7. So I was like, son of a gun. And it was the worst pain ever. They're like, okay, we're gonna get you into the room. We're gonna call George back in there so that he could bring all the stuff up, because they weren't going to allow him to go in and out of the room and in and out of the hospital. So he had to bring all the stuff in at once. They wheelchaired me into my room. I don't know if they called George or if I called George. I really don't remember. I feel like George called me, and then at the time that he called me, I was like, yeah, you can come up, bring all the stuff. And then they would let him know where I was at. I still wanted the epidural. I did not care how far along I was. I was like, I'm not having this baby without an epidural. So I went in there. I finally got into my room, got me onto the bed. The anesthesiologist was in there to do my epidural already, and my midwife was in there. Shelby was in there for just a little bit, and then she had to go do something else, and then she said she would come back. So the anesthesiologist was just telling me everything that was going on, and I was having contractions while he was talking, and I still had to sign a piece of paper for the epidural. Shelby came back in the room, and she was like, okay, while he's doing the epidural, I can't help you with your contractions because they can't move you when you're having the epidural put in. So I was like, okay. And then she had to go again. So my midwife was in front of me helping me like with my contractions, breathing through my contractions. And I was like, all I could think to myself is, where's Shelby? Where's Shelby? Like, she was helping me, but then even if she was there, she still couldn't help me because of the epidural being put in. So he was putting this thing in my back. They were telling me how to hunch over and not to move. But then like whenever I don't know if it was already in my back. I'm gonna say it was already in my back, but like I felt a clicking and it pinched me. So like I like shot up, not completely straight, but like I went from like being like this. Oh my gosh, this is not like good enough. I sit on my chair all weird. Okay, so I'm like this, But like while he's putting it in, they want you to like hunch over like that. So while I was like that and I felt that clicking and that pinch, I kind of like straightened out a little bit. And then they're like, okay, well, you need to go back down so we could finish. And then so I went back down, and then after that everything was okay. I had to wait for the epidural to kind of go down a little bit. They like situated the stuff in behind my back so that I wasn't laying on the cords or whatever, or yank out the epidural. So I lay to one side, let that side go numb, and then they asked me like, do you feel like that side's okay? And I told them yes. So then they would help me turn to the other side so that the other side could get numb. My midwife, she was like, okay, we're gonna check to see how far along you are. And I was like, okay. And so she checked and she was like, you can have this baby right now. She said, you're already out of 10. The baby's ready when you are. Pop your bag right now. Your bag is so bulgy. Like my amniotic sac was so bulgy. I was like, no, I just want to enjoy the epidural for a little bit. And then they're like, hit the nurse's button when you're ready and we'll come in. At that time, George was already in the room. He didn't come in the room until after I had the epidural, because I told him, I was like, no, don't let him come in until after the epidural is finished. George and I were talking. I was just laying there, and then Shelby came in the room and we talked about something, and then she mentioned that she was leaving, and I was like what? You're leaving? Like, she was like such a good nurse. I wanted her to be there with me throughout the whole thing. Then I understand she has to go and rest and then come back for another shift. Like, I understood, but I wanted her to be there. So I was like, oh, okay, well, thank you for everything, and you really helped me. And like, she was just like the perfect nurse. Like, she was so great. Like, I cannot emphasize that enough. She was just so great. After she left the room, I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm ready. I think I'm ready. And then he was like, okay. So I pushed the button, called the nurse. She was like, yes, or say the little thing. And I was like, could you let my midwife know that I'm ready to have the baby? And she was like, okay. And then so she came in, and then everybody brought all their stuff in to catch the baby and do their thing. I had my midwife, and I think I had 2 other nurses in there. And one was like, I'm gonna say she was young. She was a young nurse. She was at least my age. She was so sweet. She was nice. And then I don't remember who this other one was. And then my midwife, and then some lady with a cart with all the stuff in it, I think. She was like, okay, I'm just gonna pop your bag with this little hook thing. It looks like a little crochet needle, I think. That's how I remember it. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and pop your bag. And I was like, okay. So she popped it, and it like took my breath away. And then she was like talking to me throughout the whole thing, like letting me know what was going on. So she popped it, and she said that my bag was like super bulgy, so she like had to pop it twice. So like as soon as she popped it the first time, it like took my breath away. Like having if you've ever had the wind knocked out of you, that's how it felt when she popped my bag. They were like telling me when to push, do my deep breaths, and 3 good pushes and baby boy was out. And I could feel every single part of him coming out. I knew when the head was coming out, I knew when the shoulders were coming out, and I knew when the rest of him was coming out. I even felt when the placenta was coming out, and like when I saw him, oh, I have a small clip, because I didn't like, girl, when we went into the hospital and I was having my contractions, the last thing on my mind was grab the camera, put it on record. I was like, let's go, let's have this baby. Okay, so that's what we did. George did get a small clip of it, and he did get a small clip of me having the baby. I think I was having the baby, I don't know. I'll insert it at this moment. And I was so happy, and I was like, just, oh, my baby. And he didn't cry coming out. Neither did Aaliyah. Aaliyah didn't cry coming out either. They were breathing, and his eyes were open, and they had already cleaned him off and stuff like that, and I was just so happy to see him. Because the whole entire pregnancy I was like, okay, let's have him, let's have him, let's have him. I love my baby so much, both of my babies, but my pregnancy with baby boy was ridiculous. Like, it was awful. I didn't enjoy it at all. Aaliyah, I enjoyed it completely, which is what makes you think, okay, the next one's gonna be okay. No, the second one was not okay. But I was just so happy to see him and so excited. He was so quiet and such a good baby, and he's still such a good baby. I am blessed. I have been blessed with 2 good babies. I held him for a while, and then I actually held him because you know they want you to hold the babies after having them for the first hour so that you get that bond with them right away. That's what I was told. And then of course they get his blood, his footprints, make sure nothing's wrong with him, do his hearing test, and I think they did an eye test. I'm not sure, but I'm gonna say they did both. The worst part, I think, was when they kept pushing and pushing down on my stomach, trying to get everything out so no blood clots would build up. That's what I'm gonna say. I don't remember, but I think it was so that blood clots don't build up, because then I would have to stay at the hospital even longer. Also, peeing afterwards, like, hurt this time around. I don't think I tore. Yeah, I did tear. I think I tore, but not as bad as I did with Aaliyah. With Aaliyah, I tore pretty bad, but this time around, I feel like because I was more aware of what was going on for the second time, just wasn't as scared as the first time. Peeing wasn't too awful, but it wasn't exactly the greatest, and if you've ever had a child before, you know that your first bowel movement is the effing worst. Every time I peed, they would have to come in and check my pee to see if I had blood clots, and if I did, how big they were. And of course, if you have the blood clots, they would keep you there longer, because then they would have to give you more of something, more fluids, I think, or something, so that I wouldn't any blood clots, because I don't remember why it was bad for you to have the blood clots coming out all the time. I know blood clots aren't a good thing. So after all that was said and done, we didn't leave until Saturday. So mind you, my appointment was Thursday. We went into the hospital that same day on Thursday, and we had the baby that same day on Thursday. We stayed there Thursday night, we stayed there Friday night, and we left Saturday afternoonish. I'm gonna say around 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock. My ending weight with him was 215, and then I dropped down to 186 pounds. I lost 29 pounds after having him, which was awesome because I was really freaking out at 215. And that was it. I think it was, I don't remember how long after having the baby that I had to go back in for an appointment to make sure that everything was okay with me, do a postpartum checkup. I'm going to say it was about 2 weeks. I could be wrong. I'm probably wrong. But I'm going to say 2 weeks after I had the baby, I think they wanted to see me. Or a month after I had the baby. I don't know. 2 weeks or a month. I don't know. I don't remember. And now my baby boy will already be 6 months this month. He's just so happy and he's so bubbly. He is so bubbly. He's always smiling. That is my labor and delivery story. That did not actually take long at all. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it was everything you've been waiting for. Very informative, I hope. And I will see you guys in my next video. Not gonna say what it is. Not gonna say what it is, because if you've been here since day one and I keep saying, oh, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do it, but I'm gonna procrastinate doing it. Or I probably won't ever put it up. So I'm not gonna tell you guys what video's next. Just gonna let your minds wonder. But there will be another video soon because I need to catch up with me being out for so long, me being gone for so long. Because doing my YouTube is what makes me like happy and just like, okay girl, let's get it, let's get ready, let's go do your nails, let's do your makeup, let's get dressed, even if you ain't going anywhere. I don't put spray on or perfume of any kind, body spray or perfume of any kind, I don't feel ready. I've been smelling this whole time because I sprayed it once in here, so that's probably why I'm like, feeling myself, feeling ready. But usually when I put perfume on, I feel my best. I feel super ready. Champagne toast. If you know, you know. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and stuck around to wait for my next video, which is this one, and we'll continue sticking around for my next one. Then thank you so much, and I appreciate all your support, and I will see you later. Bye.